Joseph William Frazier was born on January 12, 1944 and died on November 7, 2011. He is the 12th child of Dolly Alston-Frazier and Rubin in Beaufort, South Carolina. He was raised in Laurel Bay, South Carolina, a rural community in Beaufort County, South Carolina. Frazier said that he was always close to his father, who carried him when he was a toddler over the 10 acres of farmland. The Fraziers worked as sharecroppers to the still where he made his bootleg corn liquor, and into town on Saturdays to buy the necessities that a family of 10 needed. He was affectionately called Billie Boy. Rubin Frazier had his left hand and part of his forearm amputated in a tractor accident the year that his son was born. Rubin Frazier and his wife, Dolly, had been in their car when their friend Arthur Smith, who was drunk, made a move for Dolly but was rebuffed. Stephen Gallucci, a local barkeep, recounted the experience. When the Fraziers drove away, Smith fired at them several times and hit Dolly in the foot and Rubin several times in his arm. Smith was convicted and sent to prison but did not stay long. Dolly said, "If you were a good workman, the white man took you out of jail and kept you busy on the farm." Frazier's parents worked their farm with 2 mules, Buck and Jenny. The farmland was what country people called white dirt, which is another way of saying it isn't worth a damn. They could not grow peas or corn on it, only cotton and watermelons. He was nicknamed Smokin' Joe. He was an American professional boxer who competed from 1965 to 1981, widely regarded as one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time. He was known for his strength, durability, formidable left hand, and relentless pressure fighting style and was the first boxer to defeat Muhammad Ali. Frazier won a gold medal at the 1964 Summer Olympics as an amateur, held the NYSAC heavyweight title from 1968 to 1973, and was the undisputed heavyweight champion from 1970 to 1973. Frazier emerged as the top contender in the late 1960s, becoming undisputed heavyweight champion in 1970. In 1971, he defeated Ali by unanimous decision in the highly anticipated fight of the century. 2 years later, Frazier lost his title to George Foreman. Frazier's last world title challenge came in 1975, but he was beaten by Ali in the brutal rubber match, the Thrilla in Manila. Frazier retired in 1976 after a second loss to Foreman, but made a comeback in 1981, before retiring for good with a record of 32 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw. The International Boxing Research Organization rates Frazier among the 10 greatest heavyweights of all time. The Ring magazine named him Fighter of the Year in 1967, 1970, and 1971, and the Boxing Writers Association of America, BWA, named him Fighter of the Year in 1969, 1971, and 1975. In 1999, the Ring ranked him the 8th greatest heavyweight. He is an inductee of both the International Boxing Hall of Fame and the World Boxing Hall of Fame, having been a part of the inaugural induction class of 1990 for the IBHF. His style was often compared with that of Henry Armstrong and occasionally Rocky Marciano, and was dependent on bobbing, weaving, and relentless pressure to wear down his opponents. His best-known punch was a powerful left hook, which accounted for most of his knockouts. In his career, he lost to only 2 fighters, both former Olympic and world heavyweight champions, twice to Muhammad Ali and twice to George Foreman. Frazier continued to train fighters in his gym in Philadelphia. His attitude towards Ali in later life was largely characterized by bitterness and contempt, but was interspersed with brief reconciliations. Joe Frazier stood at 5 feet 11 inches, approximately 182 centimeters, tall. Joe Frazier boasted an estimated net worth of about $100,000 at the time of his passing in 2011. Frazier lived and trained at 2917 North Broad Street in Philadelphia, where he owned and managed Joe Frazier's gym. With the help of Peter Bouchard, Frazier formed the Smokin' Joe Frazier Foundation, whose purpose was to give back to troubled and in-need youth. Bouchard volunteered to run the foundation for Frazier and attempted to get a bronze statue of Frazier erected in Philadelphia, but the city declined and opted for the Rocky statue instead. Once Frazier's health declined, the foundation was shelved. In mid-2009, Frazier sold the gymnasium on Broad Street. He was diagnosed with diabetes and high blood pressure. He and his nemesis, Muhammad Ali, alternated over the years between public apologies and public insults. When Ali lit the 1996 Summer Olympics flame in Atlanta, Frazier told a reporter that he would like to throw Ali into the fire and felt that he should have been chosen to light the flame. Frazier made millions of dollars in the 1970s, but the reported mismanagement of his real estate contributed to some financial difficulties. The National Trust for Historic Preservation has named Joe Frazier's Gym in its 25th list of America's 11 most endangered historic places in 2012. In 2013, the gym was named to the National Register of Historic Places. Frazier continued to train young fighters, although he needed multiple operations for back injuries sustained in a car accident. He and Ali reportedly attempted a reconciliation in his final years. But in October 2006, Frazier still claimed to have won all 3 bouts between them. He declared to a New York Times reporter, when questioned about his bitterness toward Ali, "I am what I am." Frazier attempted to revive his music interests in late 2009. Notably popular for singing Mustang Sally, Frazier teamed up with Welsh rock solo artist Jace Lewis to release his repertoire in the UK, later visiting the Welshman there to host a string of after-dinner speeches and music developments. It would notably be Frazier's last appearance there. Frazier was diagnosed with liver cancer in late September 2011. By November 2011, he was under hospice care in Philadelphia, where he died on November 7th at the age of 67. Upon hearing of Frazier's death, Muhammad Ali said, "The world has lost a great champion. I will always remember Joe with respect and admiration." On November 14th, Frazier's private funeral was held at Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church in Philadelphia and was attended by Muhammad Ali, Don King, Larry Holmes, Magic Johnson, Dennis Rodman, his friends and family, and others. Floyd Mayweather Jr. paid for Frazier's funeral services. His body was buried at the Ivy Hill Cemetery in Philadelphia, a short drive from the Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church. A statue of Frazier was commissioned from sculptor Lawrence Nolan. Nolan died unexpectedly, and ultimately a statue sculpted by Philadelphia sculptor Stephen Lane was erected at Xfinity Live, Philadelphia in 2015. After Frazier won the only American 1964 Olympic boxing gold medal, his trainer Yancey "Yank" Durham helped put together Cloverlay, a group of local businessmen, including a young Larry Merchant, who invested in Frazier's professional career and allowed him to train full-time. Durham was Frazier's chief trainer and manager until Durham's death in August 1973. Frazier turned professional in 1965 by defeating Woody Goss by a technical knockout in the first round. He won 3 more fights that year, all by knockout and none going past the 3rd round. Later that year, he was in a training accident that left him legally blind in his left eye. During pre-fight physicals, after reading the eye chart with his right eye, when prompted to cover his other eye, Frazier switched hands but covered his left eye for a second time, and state athletic commission physicians seemed not to notice or act. On February 16, 1970, Frazier faced WBA champion Jimmy Ellis at Madison Square Garden. Ellis had outpointed Jerry Quarry in the final bout of the WBA elimination tournament for Ali's vacated belt. Frazier had declined to participate in the WBA tournament to protest their decision to strip Ali. Ellis held impressive wins over Oscar Bonavena and Leotis Martin, among others. Beforehand, Ali had announced his retirement and relinquished the heavyweight title, allowing Ellis and Frazier to fight for the undisputed title, but both lacked any lineal claim. Frazier won by a technical knockout when Ellis's trainer Angelo Dundee would not let him come out for the 5th round following 2 fourth-round knockdowns, the first knockdowns of Ellis's career. Frazier's decisive win over Ellis was a frightening display of power and tenacity. On March 8, 1971, at Madison Square Garden, Frazier and Ali met in the first of their 3 bouts, which was called the Fight of the Century. With an international television audience and an in-house audience that included singers and actors, and with Burt Lancaster, who served as color commentator with the fight announcer, Don Dunphy, both undefeated heavyweights met in a media-frenzied atmosphere. Several factors came together for Frazier in the fight. He was 27 and mentally and physically at his peak. Ali was 29 and coming back from a 3-year absence. He had had 2 good wins in his comeback, including a bruising 15-round technical knockout win over Oscar Bonavena. Frazier lost his undefeated record of 29-0 and his world championship at the hands of the unbeaten George Foreman on January 22, 1973, in Kingston, Jamaica. Despite Frazier being the overall favorite, Foreman towered 10 centimeters, 4 inches, over the more compact champion along with an 8 inches reach advantage and dominated from the start. Over the course of 2 rounds, Foreman managed to knock Frazier down 6 times en route to a technical knockout victory. Frazier won his next fight, a 12-round decision over Joe Bugner, in London to begin his quest to regain the title. Frazier's second fight against Ali took place on January 28, 1974, in New York City. In contrast to their previous meeting, the bout was a non-title fight, with Ali winning a 12-round unanimous decision. The fight was notable for the amount of clinching. After the fight, Tony Perez, when asked about the violation from Ali, he replied that the only violation is if you hold and hit at the same time. Although Ali was holding Frazier, but he was not hitting. 5 months later, Frazier again battled Jerry Quarry in Madison Square Garden by winning the fight in the 5th round with a strong left hook to the ribs. In March 1975, Frazier fought a rematch with Jimmy Ellis in Melbourne, Australia, and knocked him out in 9 rounds. The win again established Frazier as the top heavyweight challenger for the title, which Ali had won from Foreman in the famous Rumble in the Jungle 5 months earlier. In 1976, Frazier, 32-3, fought George Foreman for a second time, shaving his head for the fight. Frazier was more restrained than usual and avoided walking into big shots like he had done in their first match. However, Foreman lobbed a tremendous left hook that lifted Frazier off his feet. After a second knockdown, the fight was stopped in the 5th round. Shortly after the fight, Frazier announced his retirement. Frazier made a cameo appearance in the movie Rocky later in 1976 and dedicated himself to training local boxers in Philadelphia, where he grew up, including some of his own children. He also helped train Dwayne Bobbick. In 1981, Frazier attempted a comeback. He drew over 10 rounds with hulking Floyd Jumbo Cummings in Chicago, Illinois. It was a bruising battle with mixed reviews. He then retired for good. Then, Frazier involved himself in various endeavors. Among his sons who turned to boxing as a career, Frazier helped train Marvis Frazier, a challenger for Larry Holmes's world heavyweight title. He also trained his daughter, Jackie Frazier-Lyde, who became a WIBA World Light Heavyweight Champion, whose most notable fight was a close majority decision points loss against Layla Ali, the daughter of his rival. Frazier's overall record was 32 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw, with 27 wins by knockout. He won 73% of his fights by knockout, compared to 60% for Ali and 84% for Foreman. He was a member of the International Boxing Hall of Fame. In 1984, Frazier was the special referee for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship match between Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes at Starrcade '84. He awarded the match to Flair because of Rhodes's excessive bleeding. In 1986, Frazier appeared as the cornerman for Mr. T against Roddy Piper at Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum as part of WrestleMania 2. In 1989, Frazier joined Ali, Foreman, Norton, and Holmes for the tribute Special Champions Forever. Frazier was inducted into the Madison Square Garden Walk of Fame in 1996. That's it for today's content. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe.